if you continue, you probably will make it to cope with the complexity. So it's not always that you have some dysfunctional reaction to decisions made by others, but also to decisions made by yourself. Okay, just to add this. Okay. So the question really is, how can companies overcome the dysfunctional human reactions? Okay. How can I ensure that the level of resistance is as low as possible? And that's about change management. How can we manage change in a way that people are committed to the change, that they are capable to run the change, and all these kind of things. And these are the aspects which we're going to talk about today. Very concrete. So last time was about psychology. Today is rather about actions. Okay? And there is one article which I really want you to read. I mentioned it on this slide here. It's from John Kotter. John Kotter is one of the leading professors about change management. And he did a lot of research about change. And I mean, he's the guru of change management. You can also look at YouTube. You will find some videos, interviews, things with John Kotter. And he published an article in the mid-90s, Leading Change, Why Transformation Efforts Fail. So he did a lot of research about change projects, change programs, and he tried to understand what companies which succeed do really well and what companies that fail in their change approaches, why they fail. Okay, and he came up with 8 points. So these 8 points are things where John Kotter would say, if you don't do these 8 things, you probably fail. Okay, so these are the reasons why companies fail, but at the same time, these points are also kind of recommendations. You must do these things in order to succeed in your change projects. And I don't want to talk about all of these things. Just want to pick out some points. And probably the most important point is the first one. Establishing a sense of urgency. In German, Leidensdruck. I mean, again, let's think about something private. If you think that you should lose weight, if you think that you should stop smoking, if you think you should drink less alcohol, or something like this, you will not change your behavior unless you reach a level of urgency, a level where you say, I must change. If I don't change, I'm in deep trouble. You must come to this point. Maybe there must be a critical incident or so. Yeah. But unless you don't reach this level, you will not change. And this is the same with organizations. If managers, if the employees don't feel that this change is really necessary, otherwise we fail, then the change will not succeed. Okay? Me, myself, when I'm in a meeting, even with a faculty meeting, when we talk about something, yeah, a colleague has an idea, saying, well, colleagues, we should do this, we should do that. And we talk about it. I always try to feel this level of urgency in the room. You can really feel it. Do the people lay back, say, yeah, so we can do it, but we don't need to do it. You feel it. But if we don't feel that we have to do something, and the people are woke up saying, yes, there's a problem. If we don't solve this problem, we end up really with major issues. If this understanding is not there, the discussion is useless, really. So the sense of urgency is a key trigger for major changes. And John Kotter, in his book Leading Changes, he talks about complacency. Yeah, and there are a lot of reasons why complacency is there. right? And it's not that people just simply are lazy by nature. There are some factors behind. Let's talk about some points here. Too many visible resources. Have you ever been in the area of the executive board of a large-scale corporation? You have the most expensive pictures on the wall. Everything is nice, it's beautiful, it's silent, it's wonderful. If you are in this sphere, you feel, wow, everything is great. And if you work in this environment every day, yeah, expensive carpets, expensive furniture, pictures, everything is fine. You feel that, wow, the world is fine. Yeah, I mean, that's a very simple point. Low overall performance standards. I mean, just to give you a very simple example, let's say over the time, revenue grew like this. You would say, yeah, perfect. Yeah, the world is fine. We are in a good shape. But if the competitor is doing like this, yeah, then it's a different story. The question is on which metrics, on which indicator you focus, right? I kill the messenger of bad news, low confrontation culture. Have you ever heard this quote saying, never talk to a manager without having a solution in your bag? I mean, you should never, little recommendation, never talk to your manager or to a manager above telling, hey, Mr. Manager, Mrs. Manager, there is a problem. If you end up like this, just telling, there's a problem, you will be the messenger of bad news, and every time the manager thinks about you, it comes to his or her mind, oh, this was this guy who brought up a problem. Maybe he's part of the problem. I don't know. You always bring up solutions. Here is a problem, and here is a solution. Two options, A and B. What should we do? I recommend A. Do you agree, Mr. Manager? Yeah? Escalating problems is not always a good idea. And there is this rule that rather the positive information goes up and the negative information is rather held back. Okay? There is a kind of human nature to deny problems. Problems are problems. So you rather say, we are fine. Come on. It's okay. Yeah? The absence of major and visible crises. That's the same with the talent shortage. There are a lot of companies out there that must change, that should change their recruiting strategies in a way, as we have talked about in our first session, lecture, employer branding, talent relationship management, active sourcing, unless there is no crisis, unless there is no Fukushima, tsunami, yeah? Things don't change. Yeah, things, the environment, markets, very often change slowly, and you adapt to the current situation, and maybe you don't realize that things really change and things become traumatic. Okay. So sometimes we need a tsunami, but the tsunami is very often not there. Okay. So there are a lot of reasons why complacency is there. Why sometimes there is not this sense of urgency of changing things. So if there is a decision by the executive board saying, we will restructure, we will change our strategy, we need a different culture, we will merge with... If this sense of urgency is not there, because of all these reasons which I just have spoken about, maybe the change will fail. Okay? Creating a guiding coalition, I will talk about this. You need strong people who lead the organization through the change. You need to have an entire change organization. I will show you how that looks like. If the weakest people in the company lead through the change, I mean, that's always clear. If you don't have the strongest people on a project like this, you will fail. But then, a very major point is having a vision. A vision. I mean, you have heard this term vision already, right? Vision, mission. What is the difference between a vision and an objective? What would you say? I mean, these different terms, you feel different things around these terms. You have different associations with vision versus objective. What would you say?
Well, the objective is the way we reach our vision, what we want to achieve in our future.
Okay.
In a simple words.
So objectives are more how we achieve our vision. A vision is much more long-term, right? More, yeah. Well, objectives are more operational, right? Okay.
Mission means like why you exist.
Yeah.
And vision means like where you want to see yourself after.
Okay. The mission is the reason why we exist. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Yeah. Okay. In every household, there will be a computer running a Microsoft system on it. That was a vision by Microsoft. We built the greatest products in the world. We will build computers that can be used by children, even by children, right away. Apple. Yeah. We're gonna be the market leader in electronic vehicles. A human being will fly to the moon, set the foot on it, and comes back alive. Whenever we talk about a vision, then you feel that it's very tangible. You can see it, yeah? and you can express a vision in one simple sentence. And when the people hear the sentence, they say, "Wow, yes, we will become world champion." It's not, "We want to get as far as possible in this competition." No, we're gonna be the world champion. We're gonna win the Champions League. It's clear. People should love it. Okay, that's a vision, and vision must be as simple as possible. In my career, I worked with SAP, as you know, and once we had a vision saying we're gonna be the leader in integrated business platform, blah 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 blah. Such a vision. We learned from surveys that not every employee in that company really understood that vision. Yeah. There was a vision of a competitor, Oracle, and the vision was 2 words: kill SAP. I mean, as an SAP employee, I did hate this vision, but I did love it because it was so simple and clear. Yeah, kill SAP. That's it. Yeah, we can't stand having another competitor in the market. We're gonna be the winner. We're gonna be the leader. You know, that's a vision. And you must communicate this vision to the people. Yeah? Sharing the vision all the time. I mean, look at the great leaders in the world. Think about Nelson Mandela. Think about Mahatma Gandhi. They all had a vision. And every time, really every time when they had the chance, they talked about their vision. And there was not one single second where anybody could doubt that this person believes in this vision. So that's important. You know, that's important. If such a vision is not there, then the company will fail. I wonder whether Daimler Chrysler really had a vision. There was this idea of a world company. We're going to be huge. But that was a vision that the people really loved. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we're going to talk about short-term wins. Sometimes we name it also quick wins, and some other stuff. So my recommendation: read this article. This is really, I would not say a historical article, but it's one of the very few really important articles around change management. So let's talk about change management. How does that really look like? And this picture here is really that's a key picture. And I really hope that in your future career, maybe you will have a look at this picture again. Yeah, it would be great. Because that's really a framework which you can use to work. I also teach in the executive MBA, and there I have managers, and we talk about cases, real cases in change management, and we always use this framework and talk these different building blocks through. Yeah. If you're fine with all the building blocks, you could say you might do a good change management. Okay, so what do you see there? In the middle, you find a very typical process with the typical steps. Okay, at the beginning, there is a phase. Let's name it initialization. Whether it's about a merger, whether it's about strategic change, there's always this phase where some leading executives, some leading managers start thinking about that idea. Should we buy this company? Somebody has this idea. Somebody brings in this idea, maybe in a conversation in the executive board. The CIO has the idea of, should we implement a new business software? I think yes, let's talk about it. So there's always this idea was born and people start thinking about the idea. That's all about this phase. So every change has its birth some time. Right? So the end of the initialization phase is what? What is the result of this phase?
Accept an idea or
Accept an idea, a decision. A decision. A decision saying, okay, we thought about it, let's do it. Okay. The next phase is about the scope, objectives, and the vision, as I said. What is that? That's about, okay, what is this change all about? Will we acquire the entire company or only parts of it? Will we implement the software in our entire corporation or only in Europe? So this is about the size, of the change. Who will be affected by the change, who not? What do we want to achieve with it? Is it about revenue growth? Is it about increasing quality? Is it about reducing costs? Is it about increasing customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction? So you should have some objectives. Yeah? There must be something you want to achieve with the change, and this is reflected by the objectives. And then the vision, as I said. Okay? And then the next phase is very important. It's about two things. It's about setup. I mean, you all learn a lot about project management. What do you do in project management? What do you do in project management right at the beginning? You run a project. What are the first things?
We make a clear structure of our project.
You build a structure, organization. Who is the project lead? Who is the team? Who works with the team? Number one. What else?
Would you like a schedule or something?
A plan. A plan. Yeah. And what else do you need to set up the project?
set up the milestones.
The milestones. I would see the milestones as part of the plan. Right? A budget. Very simple. Right? A budget, a structure, and a plan. Okay, let's put it that way. And some principles. That's important. It's important. To explain this, I show you this picture. Whenever companies go through a change, there are some ideas behind how you should do this change. And this how we do the change can look very, very different. And here are a collection of very different ideas. We could say, okay, we're going to merge with another company, let's avoid too much noise. Yeah? We should not talk too much about it. Just do it. Okay? Especially in the market, we should not talk too much about it. So let's avoid too much noise. We want to avoid costs. We want to be fast with the change. Yeah. When I think of Commerzbank. Commerzbank was merged with the Dresdner Bank. That was a very clear principle saying we want to be fast. Speed. It's all about speed. You want to be as fast as possible. Some companies say, well, no. Now, when we change the processes, when we change the structure, let's do it right. There will never be another chance to do the things right. So when we change everything, we try to do it in a way that will be valid for the next 10, 20 years. So we want to do things right now. Yeah. We want to avoid any irritation. We don't want to make the people feel uncertain, worried, or so. Yeah. We take along all people. We want to involve the people. We don't leave them alone. We try to get their opinions. We try to catch their ideas and all these things. But some companies say, a change is so complicated. When we implement this software now, this business software, let's focus on the most important things. Yeah? We focus on what really matters. It's the 80-20 rule. Okay? With 20%, we can solve 80% of the problems. So let's focus on these 20% solutions to solve the 80%. And then in the future, we can talk about the rest. We don't do things by halves. It's like we do things right. Yeah, we endure pain. Yeah, it will be painful, and that's how it is. Okay. Okay. When you look at all these kind of ideas, can you imagine that the company really follows all these ideas all in once? You shake your head. Hey, no? Do you see some conflicts? Yeah, what, for instance?
For example, we take along all the people and we prevent losses. And
Right. Absolutely. We take along all people, but we want to prevent losses. That's not possible. You cannot. Is there anything else? I mean, as an exercise, take this picture and make lines on things where you think, okay, they go together well, and where you find conflicts. Yeah? You have an idea?
Yeah, doing things right and don't doing them by half is like pretty much a contradiction
Okay.
to the 80-20.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
quality and speed.
Quality and speed. You can't be fast and focus on quality at one time. But both make sense, or?
Yeah.
I mean, quality. If you propose to a management board, we do things right, they will agree. If you tell them we want to be fast, they will agree. Nobody will say no, we want to be slow. Yeah. But in fact, there is a conflict. There is a dilemma. And you always will find these dilemma in every changes. So, to get back to our model here, it's absolutely key to define principles right at the beginning. Really, one of my examples which I really like was the Commerzbank. They said, it's all about speed. We will not do everything right. It's very complicated, everything. So, we focus on speed, even knowing that quality will go down. Okay? because you can't achieve both speed and quality. So you must decide. And it's very, very important. I mean, it's really a key message now with change management. I saw a lot of projects fail because they didn't have this principle right at the beginning. You must be clear right at the beginning about the principles of the change. Is it speed? Is it quality? Is it involving all the people or not making too much noise? Yeah? All these different things. You must decide. Then, after having set up the project structure, you have a plan and the budget, and you've defined the principles, you start to design. Okay? Now think about a restructuring. You change the organizational structure. What do? You have a chart and you design the new structure. Okay. How do we move? Where do we move this department to where? Who will report to whom in the future? Or think about the implementation of an IT, of a software. If you think about the implementation of SAP in a large-scale company, that's a huge project. You define all the processes in detail. You have an army of consultants doing nothing else than preparing PowerPoints. You don't do nothing, you just plan, you just design the future, right? And then the actual change happens. The actual change, okay? And this is in 1 second. Say, from 1st of April this year on, the new structure will be valid. Okay. From 1st of May this year, we go live with our new software. So until then, we will work with the old software. From then on, we have the new software. From 1st of June on, these two companies will be one. Okay. So there's one time where the change happened. Right? Of course, it's not in 1 second. That's the phase of implementation. Yeah, it's implementing the software, starting the software, all these kinds of things. But then here, the actual change happens after you have done multiple steps in advance. But you will experience, or many of you have experienced in your career, once a change had happened, not all things are fine. Sometimes you have chaos, uncertainty, not everything works well. So you need a phase of stabilization. Okay? So these are the major steps in every major change program. Think about, again, private example. You have pain with your back. Okay? That's your problem. You have pain with your back. Okay? Or with your heart or something. In the initialization phase, you start thinking, okay, maybe I should do something. Then you set the objective, okay, surgery. When, where, who, yeah, and maybe the hospital will then set up everything, will set up the team, set up the time, the schedule and everything, and they talk the surgery through. That's the design phase. What will we do in the surgery? They still have done nothing. They simply plan what they do, while the change is the actual surgery. Okay? Then everything happened after it was planned, decided, planned, prepared, set up, designed, then they will do it. The surgery. It's not that the doctors see the patient at the first time when they are in the surgery. They have planned everything. But then after surgery, you need some days, weeks, months, years to stabilize. Okay? So with the surgery, things are not done. You need stabilization. Okay? So we will get back to this model multiple times when we talk about different action fields and the relevant environment. So what I want to bring across in this session is we will do some things. We will start with a change analysis. That's a fundamental part of change management. Then we talk about communication. Communication is key in every change program. Communication is there to achieve what? change, but more concrete. Why is communication there? What is the objective of communication?
Understanding. To achieve commitment.
Commitment, understanding. Commitment, understanding. The people must agree that this is the right way. That's commitment, right? To more or less. Understanding. What will happen to me? What will happen to my team? Okay? You always will qualify people as part of a change. Yeah? To achieve what? To make the people competent to use the new software, to produce the new products. Yeah? To run the new processes as part of re-engineering. So it's always about these two things, making people committed and making people capable. Commitment, capability. Commitment is about communication. Capability, capacity is about training and support. And there is a special field which is part of both involvement. Involvement is always about achieving commitment and capabilities. Okay? Now we talk about sponsorship a little bit, management sponsorship, how you can organize such a change. We will not talk about these two, how to plan and to control things. I'll just say a couple of sentences about this, and how HR comes into play here. Okay? So, let's start with the change analysis. Let's have a very simple example, okay? Let's talk a very simple example through. Okay? We have an organization, let's say 5,000 employees. Let's say it's a company in the automotive supplier industry. Right? It's not too big, mid-size. Right? Already big, but still kind of mid-size. It's not a Bosch or a Siemens. You have an executive board. And then you have some functions like production, sales, and all these nice things you will find in most companies. Controlling, marketing, HR. Then you have teams with team leaders reporting to the functional heads. And the team consists of people. So, that's the organization. To put it very simple. Now let's have a very concrete example. Okay, let's have a very concrete example. Let's have an example out of HR, okay? Oh, we are HR lecture, so let's have an HR example. What was the past in this company? The past was that as part of recruiting, all the managers, team leads, functional heads, the executives, they all did the candidate selection their own way. Okay? People were invited, they invited people, they did the interview somehow. Yeah, everybody did the interviews in different ways, personal styles, yeah, and then they made a decision by themselves. Okay. That was recruiting in the old days. Now we have a change, a minor change in that case. We changed the process in a way that in the future all managers have to stick to a clearly predefined recruiting process run by HR. HR, or the company, wants to professionalize the entire recruiting activities. So everything starts with HR. And when it comes to interviews, all managers have to consider certain criteria which are defined by HR. Yeah, maybe together with a line, but there are some concrete criteria, questions which you must ask. And there is a kind of scheme which should help the managers to interpret the answers in the right way. Then they have to use an app on the iPad, making their evaluation about the candidate. Okay? So it's really that the entire recruiting process will be changed. Yeah? In terms of responsibilities, in terms of the tools they must use, in terms of the software which they use. So that's the change. Okay? That's a minor change, but still a challenge. Okay? So, now the question is to you. Have you understood this case? It's clear. You are the HR director, and that's one of the 20 projects which you have in 2030. Everything is clear. You have the app. You have an understanding about what to do. What do you do? What do you do in terms of change management? Any initial ideas? I mean, we'll talk it through. But is there anything you would do now? We assume from our last lecture that most managers will resist. Say, come on, that's not necessary. Don't need it. It worked well in the past. No sense of urgency.
Communicate the benefits.
Communicate the benefits. So communication. You communicate something, the benefits. Yeah. What else?
Face-to-face meetings.
Face-to-face meetings in order to achieve what?
Understanding.
Understanding. Yeah. Communication. Understanding. Right. What else?
There should be some training, inform them about the new app.
Training. Yeah, yes, of course. You have to train the managers how to use the new criteria, how to use the new tools, how to use the app. If it's a good app, they can use it right away. Yeah. Of course, you have to do all these things. But what to do concretely and how extensive you need to do things, that depends on what we name change analysis. That's a very poor slide. Yeah, nothing on it. But it shows what the idea is. The very, very, very first thing, before I start any change activities, is that I have a look at different target groups. Yeah, what is a target group in that sense? What is a target group? Those who are affected by the change. Who? The managers. The managers, maybe the executives to a certain extent, the people in HR. So let's focus on these two. Yeah? In large-scale projects, you have 20, 100 different target groups. Here we have, let's say, two. The managers and the people in HR. Yeah? Then, what I would do, and this is agreed by most change management literature, and it's also based on my practices, the first thing you do is you have a look, okay, what will change? Now, let's look at the change from a manager's perspective. Let's look through the manager's eyes and look, okay, what is the situation? What was the situation before? What will be the situation in the future? Let's write it down. Let's point it out. And then we indicate the changes. What will change? Okay, a new software, new tools, new behavior, new responsibilities, different people you will have to collaborate with. You will not do it by your own as in the past. In the future, you will need to collaborate. You will make decisions based on very concrete criteria. These are all the changes which you will find when you look at the situation before and the situation after. And then you will ask yourself, okay, what are the chances? What are the fears? There will be some managers saying, oh no, I don't want this. And some will say, yes, I like this. It's great. Okay? So you must understand what will be the implications from the change. And then you talk about the training needs. Okay? Let's just simply write it down. Okay? And what are the risks? What can be a risk? A risk can be that the people will not understand the app. They don't have an iPad. They totally resist. And the majority of the managers will not follow. Maybe it will not work, the new solution. There are a couple of risks. You just write it down. And if you have something like this, and this is very, very simplified, I would do it in a very small workshop in that case. We'll talk this through with the HR people. And then write it down. And from there, you get a better understanding of what to do. Okay? Another analysis which you do as part of the change analysis is a so-called stakeholder analysis. That's absolutely key. The stakeholder. What is a stakeholder? I mean, you hear this term many, many times.
The ones who are interested and will be affected.
There's somebody who's affected by something, who is interested in something. Right. Okay. Somebody who plays a kind of role. Yeah? Somebody who you need to consider. Yeah? So there is a very simple tool. It's the stakeholder analysis. Some name it the pain and power analysis. Some people in the company, in our company here, are impacted by the change very much. In our example, who are these? All managers? Probably those managers in those areas which grow the most. Those managers with the biggest hiring needs, with the biggest recruiting needs. Okay, these people are affected by the change the most. And there are some managers which hire people once in a decade. Okay, so there are people who are affected by the change, and then there are some who are not affected by the change. Number one, there are people in the organization which have power, and there are people who have less power. Who are the people who have power?
Executives and functional heads.
They all have power. Who else? Could it be that she has power? Let's think about the last session.
Is it someone with very special skills or someone that we can really replace?
An opinion leader, right? Somebody with special skills, somebody who's highly accepted in the organization. Informal opinion leaders. Yeah? It can be that people on the bottom have a high impact on others. Yeah? These are sometimes more critical. Yeah? We talked about this last time. Opinion leaders. Right? So, there are people in the organization which are affected by the change, impact, pain, and there are people who have power in the organization. That's number two. Number three, indicated in this analysis, there are opponents and there are supporters. There are people saying, oh, a new recruiting strategy, a new selection strategy, that's great. That is so necessary. That's so important. I told already 5 years before that we need something like this. I mean, we need to be more professional in what we do. So thank you for coming up with that idea. I love it. And there are others saying, that's not us. We in our company, it was always that the people worked in a way they like to work. And it's fine. One manager does it that way, the other manager does it that way. That's fine. Yeah? People are responsible for what they do. There must not be structures given by HR. So I'm totally against it. That's too complicated. That means bureaucracy. I'm opponent. So, Let's have a look at this before we make a very short break. Let's look at some people on this slide. Let's look at person C. What to do with this person? This person is not affected by the change. It's the head of facility management. I don't know. No power. But she is against it. What to do with this person? Ignore. But she's against it. I don't care. I don't care, sorry. Here, person A. Person A is really impact. This is a manager hiring a lot of people every year, and everybody knows this. And this person has power. It's the head of sales. And this person loves it. He says, we must do it. I love it. Thank you for coming up with this. What to do with this person? Yeah, you
have to heavily participate or include them and
You in-
leverage the effect that he has.
You include this person in the project. You make him a promoter, a multiplier in the entire organization. Look, people, here is Mr. Sales. He loves it. Here's an interview where he explains why he loves this strategy. What to do with person B? Person B is impacted, has much power, is against it. What to do with this person?
I would use A to convince B.
Very smart. Yeah?
Because B won't be convinced by somebody that has less power than him.
Yeah. Let's have lunch together. A and B. Yeah. Try that. A convince B. Make sure that A is stronger than B. Otherwise, it could go vice versa, right? Okay. You must handle this case somehow. You must do something with this person. We're going to talk about involvement here. Yeah. There was a quote which I like in that particular case from Lincoln, this former president of the United States, saying, "I'm rather want to have him inside the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in." He piss, but better from inside to out the other direction. Make him part of the program. Give him a role. Make him responsible for the success of the program. Okay? Go to lunch with him. Go do some things to, I don't know, things which are not written in the textbook. There are a lot of ideas how you can handle these kind of people. What to do with D? That's a in between, right? As you have many people who are somewhere in between. You can use this person as a kind of multiplier or so, but you would not do a lot. You would really focus on these people. Some people you can use as promoter, influencer, decider maybe, multiplier. Some you would declare as decider. Yeah, you are responsible about this. You decide. Yeah, or as patient. I have to take care about these people. Okay? So you will start with this analysis and build all the communication strategy, the involvement strategy, training strategies on these two kind of analysis. But that's the very first phase.